Good evenings, Romy right back again. I don't know about you people, who's ever watching this, but wherever you are, we got that much rain and wet here. It's unbelievable at this moment in time. We're even going to have to bring the mares in now, I think, and put them in the big barn and just put the haylage in there for them to eat, because they're so depressed. Never seen wet and rain like it in my life. Anyway, back to the story. I told you I met this fella called Jesse Frame. Now, Jesse's mother was a full traveller, full gypsy. His mother was called Small. She was one of the Smalls. And Jesse was working for Gorman Scrap Metal. He was in Gorman's from when he left school. So he was Ricky Gorman's right-hand man. So Ricky Gorman bought this baling plant, mobile. Jesse come into me and he bought a couple of 100 ton off me of light iron. Baled it up, sent it out. Your money was right on the knot, no problem at all. So while he was there, I had this ongoing job with Peter Lobb down in the mine. Now down in the mine, they have what they call an air adit, which means that it's a mine going down like that you can drive in. All it really was a disused air vent. Now in the mill, they had big roller mills. And in the roller mill, they had ball bearings started off at about, I don't know, say 4 inches. And when they ended up, when it was wore out, they was down to about 2.5, 3 inches, 2 inches maybe. Anyway, Peter Lobb had barrels and barrels and barrels of these. Now these 45-gallon drums on their own went into 1 and 2 because they had 2 great steel rings around them. I expect each drum weighed 3/4 underweight, empty. Anyway, but he had these barrelfuls of ball bearings, and one of they filled up would be like, I don't know, 3/4 of a ton, half a ton, something like that. So we baled it all up. Jesse went in with the baler, baled it up, and we're sending it into Blackbush. Well, Jesse sent in 3 or 4 small bales of this ball bearing stuff. Oh, fucking hell. You would not believe what it done. We'll shut the whole frag down. The ball bearings was pinging off out of the frag like bullets. Lucky it never killed nobody. But anyway, done some damage to the frag. So that had to be stopped. Those ball bearings actually went to, I think they went to Sheffield somewhere in the end. Jesse sent them on. But we was lucky at that time with that job. But you wouldn't believe how many was in there. So whilst Jesse was there and finishing off that job, I had a phone call from Madrid Brewery. Dominic Martinelli, the manager. He said, Clarence, we're in trouble in here. I said, what's the matter, Dominic? He said, can you come in and see me? Senior management's going berserk. I said, all right. Anyway, in I goes. He said, come over to the warehouse. Got over to the warehouse. And there were 750 pallets of beer. 750, man. He said, all this beer has got a bug in it. I said, what do you mean, what, it's got a bug in it? He said, it's not fit for purpose. He said, and it wasn't discovered until it went to the lab for testing, and it's got someone in it. He did tell me the technical terms, but I can't remember. Anyway, he said, the trouble is, we've paid the VAT. We have to pay the VAT on this beer as soon as we bottle it or can it. He said, there's thousands and thousands of pounds there in tax alone. He said, we've been on to the Environment Agency and they give us a concession to pour all this beer down the river, provided the customs officer sits there and watch it go down the river. I said, oh yeah. I said, where do I fit in? He said, well, do you have a mobile baling plant? Crusher. I said, yeah. I said, but only a metal baler, like, you know. He said, would you bring it in? Took it in there. Put these cans in the baler. Shut the lid down, boosh, all the beer come out everywhere. Squirting out all over. That was the answer. But the baler was too small. No good. You'd have been there 3 or 4 years, I reckon. Right. Now, I had the answer tonight because Jesse was still there. So I said to Jesse, I come back, I said, Jess, I said, I got a job in the brewery. I said, there's 750 pallets of cans of beer. He laughed. I said, I'm not joking. Serious. Okay, now, he said, can I go and have a look at it? Yeah, I took in there. Now, I think there was 20 tiers on each pallet. Row of cans, cardboard, row of cans, cardboard. The good thing about it was they weren't connected with plastic that you get nowadays. So I said, the idea is, Jess, I said, to put these in the baler, crush them, so they can get their VAT back. I said, but the customs officer got to be there to see it. He said, there's a hell of a job. I said, yeah, it is. Right. Gets the baler in there now. Television cameras there. Newspaper there. By now the story broke about the beer being no good. So, we had a crowd there, brave old crowd of people, onlookers. Gets the baler set up. So the bloke brought the first pallet load out. It couldn't go in over the side of the baler. It had to go in over the end. Because as the cans tipped over the gate, there was too many to go over the side. So it went in the end. So the forklift driver, and then we had to have a man picking out the cardboard for each separation. Done that. Now Phil Casey was driving the baler. He shut the lid like that. Brought the side ram in. The beer come out the top of the baler like a fountain. Phil Casey was in there with the windscreen wiper going on the cab of the baler. So that was a big spectacle. It was a laugh, really. But it wasn't no good because the beer was going all over the car park. I had to go in the river. So we stopped the job. So it was decided now that we would have to put sandbags all the way around the baler. So that's what we did. to ensure that the beer went in the river. So we was there for a week, and we got 2 Arctic loads of bales ready, cans. Now at the time, UBCs, as they were called, had a token on them, because it was when recycling first come in. So I think they had a premium price of about £100 a tonne more. But they had to go back to Alcan, who made them. So we sent the first 2 loads in, lovely. No problems, because it was all brand new. Next thing we know, Jesse gets a phone call. We can't take these as UBCs. Jesse said, why not? He said, because the top of the cans, where you pull the can to drink the beer, none of they've been pulled. So if they haven't been pulled, they're not UBCs. They're MBCs. So UBCs means used beverage cans. MBC means new beverage cans. Right, so they knocked us maybe £100 a tonne, I think it was, or £130 a tonne, something like that. Anyway, that was all right. Now these alley bales come out at about 3 foot square. So there was a fair old chunk, like, you know, it probably took 2 to 3 pallets to make a bale. Anyway, job was going on lovely. So the baler was getting slower and slower and slower. Couldn't figure out what it was. So they had the Bonfiglioli expert over from Italy to have a look at the baler. What had happened, nobody knows how this happened. The beer got into the hydraulic tank. So she was running on, there was a big joke saying that the baler got drunk. She was running on beer and hydraulic oil. Anyway, we had to change the hydraulic oil, and it was all back up and running again. So whilst I was there, my small baler was still there. So I had my 2 cousins working for me, and a couple of other gearers there, and Jesse's men. So Brian Willoughby, my cousin, and Edith's boy, I sent he down the other end in another warehouse where they had some old stock. And they said, well, there's nothing wrong with the beer, but while we're there, we'll get rid of this old stock. So Dominic said to me, he said, Clarence, look, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that beer. He said, tell the boys they can have as much as they want. He said, but don't go pumping it around with you. I said, no, I wouldn't do that, Dominic. So I said to Brian, look, you can take home as much of this beer as you want, but have it for yourself. I said, don't you go dare selling any. No, I wouldn't do that much. I wouldn't do that. Next thing I hear, this fucking beer's in the boot sale. Oh, I went berserk. Got hold of his brother Kenny. I said, Ken, this fucking beer mush, I said, it's being sold in the boot sales. Never. I said, yes, it is. He got hold of his brother. Give him fuck. Anyway, I seen Brian. I said, Brian, I told you not to sell this fucking beer mush. I am sold them, he said. I said, it's in the boot sales going around. He said, I give me mates a few fucking crates or packs. He said, and that's what they've done. The Dobie bastard's been selling it. Like 50p a can or something like that, or whatever it was. I said, don't give them no more, for fuck's sake. All right, I won't be giving them no more. So Dominic said to me, you sure you're not Nobody's selling that beer, Clarence. I said, no, Dominic. He said, more than my jaw's worth, he said. I said, I wouldn't do that. Anyway, we completed that job. And like I said, we made the television and the newspaper. So whilst all that was going on, I had a visit from a man called Brendan James. And he was a managing director of a company in Wales. Now, I dealt with Brendan for years. Well, I toured for a year. But I never ever met him. He used to buy a lot of engines off me. Because you used to have to ring around and find out where the best prices was. Anyway, he turned up at my place one day, unannounced, in a brand new BMW car. And he'd had an accident just after the war that fucked his hip up, so he had to have a biggest old car to get around in. So he got out the car and he said, I'm Brendan James. I said, oh, hello, Brendan. I said, how are you doing? He said, all right, thank you. And he said, I got a proposition for you. That's fair enough. So I asked him in the house, in the bungalow, and he come sat down. He said, I want to make you a lot of money. And me a lot of money. I said, how's that then, Brendan? He said, well, look, do you have a facility anywhere here in Cornwall where a boat can come in and be loaded? I said, yeah, true. He said, a Weybridge there? I said, yeah, Weybridge is there, on the quay. He said, look, I can offer you, is this true, £60 a tonne more for your scrap, minus the haulage to get it there. I said, I don't like the minus bit. What is that? He said, well, it's £10,000 freight. I said, oh yeah. So he said, time it's all took out, he said, I reckon you'll be on, he said, you're on like £55 a tonne now. He said, I reckon you'll be on like £80 a tonne in your hand for your scrap, your steel. I said, it sounds very good, Brendan. He said, go over, see the harbour master, and see if you can secure the docks, and if we can store the scrap there. He said, I'd really like to do this project. I said, you do realise, I said, it's been done once before, but it was unsuccessful. I said, my next door neighbour, Malcolm Drew. He said, yeah. I said, I remember it. He said, Malcolm sent out 1,000 tonne of Preston sheared and never got his money. I said, no, he didn't. He said, you ain't got to worry about that. He said, I'll pay you for this before the steel leaves the dock. I'll pay you the same money as what you would get in this country, and I'll pay you the extra once the ship has been unloaded. I said, that sounds right. Right. I had to go over and secure the dock now. Over to Truro it goes. Sees the harbour master. Andy Brigden, he was called. Told him what my proposal was. He said, we need some new business, he said, on this quay. Brilliant idea. He said, there's only one trouble. I said, what's that? He said, a man named Quinton Wyvern Bat has got the rights to the quay. He said, he owns the rights to the quay at this moment in time. I goes over now. I said, where's his office? He said, the office is over there. He said, tell him I sent you over. I gets over there now to see this mush. Walks into his office. Now the mush thinks himself a real right. But I haven't got two halfpennies to roll together. I haven't got two fardens. You can tell it, like, you know. Or we travellers can tell it anyway. Real posh talking mush, you know. Hello, Clarence, how are you doing today? And all that fucking shit. Anyway. Told him what my proposals was. Yes, old chap, he said, that seems very good. He said, but I'd want my crane to load the ships. I said, what sort of crane you got? He said, a 22 RB rope crane. I said, that wouldn't load the ship fast enough, I would never think. I said, that crane will be right for stockpiling. I said, there's no pressure under that. Oh. Well, let's think. Let's sort it out and see what the dock times are and what the loading time is you're allowed and one thing and another. All right. Now this mush is excited, really excited, because he ain't incurring much business there and he ain't got no money. So a deal was done, I can't tell you the figures now, that he would stockpile the scrap, he would receive it and stockpile it. And he would assist with the loading if needed. So an hydraulic crane excavator can do like 2 free grabs to that fucking rope crane's one. So by the time he swung it over the boat, let it go, thinks about swinging back, I've done fucking 3 grabs into this fucking boat. Anyway, that was all decided, all done, deal done. Brendan said, quality control. I said, for this first ship, Brendan, it'll only be me pulling the scrap on the quay. So quality control is down to me. Fair enough, he said. But what Brendan was hoping was, once we done one, we would get the other dealers, the other scrap dealers, to pull their scrap in there. And we was hoping to do 1 ship a month, 1,000 ton a month, which could be easily achieved. So D-Day come. Again, I got the photographs of this, and I'll put them up. One of these days I'll put up a load of photographs so everybody can see. D-Day come. So by this time, obviously Malcolm Drew didn't have much gear, apart from he had a big old poke line there. And I think I had 2 JCBs and a magnet there. But I needed a shovel to push the scrap up. When we got thin on the ground, it was easier to push it up than try and pick up small bits with the grab. Anyway, we was there loading like fuck. And got it done. Well, my wife was there with Brian, and Malcolm helped me out, obviously, because he had a load-all. And old Wyvern Pat's crane was there. So, loaded the ship. Absolutely bang right on. 1,000 tons. So we had a big celebration on the quay. Malcolm's family was there, my wife was there, and a bottle of champagne, and we toasted the ship and and bought some whiskey and that off the captain, and bottles of gin and Bacardi and that. And it's not so easy as you think, loading a ship. You think it's easy, but there's lots of things to remind yourself of. The first mate watches every single grab going to that ship. And if he says to you he wants 30 ton over that side in that spot, that's what he wants. Now, when she's afloat, he's balancing her up with water and this, that and the other. So it's not an easy job. And the other thing is, the hatches, the rails that the hatches run on, you must never touch safe, because if you dent them, they could leak. So we learned all this stuff as we was going on. So that was the first successful 1,000 tons of scrap that left Truro Quay. And that was down to me. Now you would honestly think that the family would be very proud of that, wouldn't you? Like Sir Tommy Ware and everybody else within the family. No, we said a fucking word. Not one word of praise. Not even looking for praise, acknowledgement, just to say well done, like, you know. Anyway, I wouldn't lie about it. I either had 38 or 45,000 pound more for my scrap than what I would have done selling it in this country. Paid me up, Brendan James paid me up, no problem. So now, everybody wanted to get on the bandwagon. All the local dealers wanted to deliver their scrap to Truro Quay because, number one, they could deliver all day to and fro. No, there was no great mileage, no distance to travel. And as soon as they dropped the scrap there, they would get their money. So, dear old Malcolm, bless his heart, he said, Malcolm was good to me over the years, and I was good to him. Anyway, Malcolm said, I want me 2 children, he said, to be in business, he said, and stay in the scrap. I said, what are you thinking of, Mo? He said, me and you, we'll open a scrapyard on this quay. Old Quinton Bat had a piece of yard over the other side with an small office block. He said, we'll call it D&W Reclamations. He said, with the scrap we buy from that area, he said, we'll go straight on the quay. I said, all right. I bought another lorry. Another roll on, roll off. Especially for the job. So Malcolm put his daughter over there, Miranda, and his son Robert. That was no problem. Malcolm was not interested in doing me of anything, or me of he. So he had the bug pack. So he didn't open up back home, because that was where I was working. But anything that come from the Truro area upwards, he had a share of. That went on for I don't know, maybe 12 months. And it faded out. But I done 5 ships off Truro Quay with the help of other yards afterwards. But that was dealing direct with Brendan. But I did get a cut out of it. But just for the record, and the other day there, they was going on about ships in at Truro Quay and who done this and who done that. So I put it on Facebook. Clarence Ware was the first man to load a successful load of scrap off a Truro Quay. And anybody that says anything different, as I put on Facebook, anybody that says anything different is not telling the truth. Because that was my baby. All on my own. So that was good. And 1,000 ton of scrap didn't empty my yard at all. So now, we're going on, flying on. One Sunday, we home sitting down, knock on the door. There was a chap called Romy Moose. Oh yeah. All right, Rob, come in. What's the matter, Moose? Shaking up. He said, Clarence, my house, I've got to sell it. I said, yeah. He said, but I want cash. I said, all right, Rob. He said, but I'm not going to lie to you. In the back garden is a shaft. A mine shaft. Got to be capped. He said, but they've done the tests. The shaft is not going to affect the house. Raymond Road, the truth. Now behind Raymond Road was all mine workings. And that's why the fucking back garden fell in. So I said, how much you want for it, Rob? He said, for a quick sale today, £5,000. I said, we're not going to give you £5,000 without the solicitors, Rob. Am I? Well, he said, come and have a look at it. Anyway. Goes and have a look at it. The house was all right, apart from the back garden. So, I give him £1,000 that day, deposit. What he wanted the money for, I don't know. Monday morning, I go to the solicitors. Told him the complete tale. So he said, the solicitor said, do you want to go ahead with the purchase? I said, yeah. So anyway, we had a speedy transfer and I bought the house. So I said, my missus, I said, what we're going to do with this? I said, it's cheap enough to rent out. If we do the back garden up. Anyway, decided we would sell it. So we put it in the property auction. In Redroof, in Penventon Hotel was the auction. I'd done all right. I sold it for 22 grand. So I went and bought my missus, she had a new XR2. She wanted one of their cars. So that was all right. The £5,000 really wasn't important because we was doing all right. And she wanted a new car. And we never had new cars or nothing like that, really. Never went crazy. So that was that little job. And come to find out, Robert was that heavy into alcohol, he wanted the money for beer. That was the real reason. Now I got a complete story on Robbie Moose because his nickname was Greengrass. And he lived just like Greengrass on the TV. And he killed himself with alcohol. But I got a complete story here. I got all the photographs of his funeral and what he did and what he didn't do. And he was just a real character. Yeah, he was a nice old boy. So we went on and we had some big contracts. Big contracts. So this day, we was in the yard and in walked this man with a thing on. He was a vicar. He said, good afternoon. I said, good afternoon. He said, I'm Reverend Michael Palmer. I said, that's nice. I said, what can I do for you, sir? He said, I want some lead ingots. 5 ton of lead I want, he said, for ballast in my boat. He said, me and my wife, he said, have had a new boat built and we want the ballast. I said, that's fine, that's no problem. Can you supply it? I said, it'll take me a couple of 3 weeks, but I can supply it. You want it put in ingots? I said, yes, he said. So all we had to do was chuck the lead in the furnace and run it out in ingots. Right. Does the job. Goes down to the church now, down Devon. Right, he said, we're going to have to put the ingots, he said, over there. And I'll have to take them down in the van, 10 or 12 at a time. I said, well, why don't you let me take them right down? No, he said, I want to do that at my leisure. I said, that's right. So we did that job. And I got very friendly with this man. And I had a bit of a calling to want to go to church. So I started going to church on a Sunday morning. And he said to me one day, would you happen to know where I could get a donkey? He said, we want to recreate Jesus on a donkey for Palm Sunday. So me being me, I said, yes, of course I do. I said, I got a donkey, no problem. I never had one, but I know somebody that did. Anyway, I takes this donkey down to the churchyard on the morning. All the chav is just moving him down. Lovely job. So they got, I don't know what leaf it was now, put on the floor for this donkey to walk over. So, done that. It was all done. Had the service, blah, blah, blah. And I was, I went to be, what's the word? I went and I was anointed for, to be reborn. So, done that as well, same time. I think there was 5 of us. So I got friendly with this old vicar, really, really friendly. Anyway, time went on and he said, do you want to come out on the boat? She's in the water. I said, yes, of course I do. Anyway, we're out on the boat and these people aren't like me anyway. They was drinking wine and cheese and all on this boat. But there's another couple of stories I'll tell you about that vicar. But me and he become very close. And another big tragedy I had in my life, which is we're coming up to that. He saved me. He saved me from a certain real major mental breakdown. And through him in the church, I got through it. But we're up to 40 minutes tonight. And I'll say to you now, bye-bye from the Romany Rye. And I hope you continue to listen to me, because everything I'm telling you has happened to me in my lifetime. So it's bye-bye from the Romany Rye.